Liam Kennedy here from the Geordie Journos, a bit of a different location for you. The Walker Dome. Off to play football ourselves here, test ourselves out. Eddie Howe's got a few big decisions to make this weekend ahead of the return to Premier League action. Aston Villa, massive game, really tough one for the Magpies. But who's he going to select? Three of us, the Geordie Journos, myself, Jordan Cronin and Dominic Skirvall, had a little go at picking our 11, and also as a little treat on the end of this video as well. And we'll tell you exactly where we think Newcastle United are going to finish. Over to you, Dom.
I think the Newcastle team very much, in terms of the defence at least, picks itself, but there is one sort of decision to make for Eddie Howe. Fabian Schär's obviously missed the last 3 games of pre-season and hasn't been in training this week, so injury doubt with the hamstring. Naturally, you'd like to think Jamal Lascelles would come in, start the Premier League season, which Champions League season just finished 4th last year. I get it, Jamal Lascelles, first choice centre-back going into the new season. It's not an ideal position, but Jamal Lascelles last season didn't let Eddie Howe down, and Eddie Howe spoke very highly of him in pre-season. He's performed well, he's been brilliant behind the scenes as a captain, so I have got him starting alongside Sven Botman in the 2 centre-back roles, and then I've got Dan Burn, Kieran Trippier either side, that core back four from last season, with Lascelles coming in for Fabian Schär. Then Nick Pope in goal picks itself. Then the decisions to make really, other than the centre-back, are in midfield and the front 3 as well. I think Bruno Guimaraes is pretty much a banker in the centre mid position if fit, and we expect him to start the season. And then I'm thinking a bit interesting, Sandro Tonali, £52 million. You don't spend £52 million on a player for him to start on the bench. And I think Sean Longstaff's fitness issues in pre-season, Joe Willock obviously unavailable, I would start Sandro Tonali, get him that first taste of St James's Park football in a competitive setting would be great for him. And then I've got Elliot Anderson actually on the left centre mid position, and I'll explain why, other than the fact he's had an excellent pre-season as well. I think he deserves to start. But then I've got Joe Linton on the left wing, and I know people will be like, where's Harvey Barnes, where's Anthony Gordon? 2 players who did impress in pre-season. But Joe Linton, Joe Willock last season down that left side, interchanging, was so effective during arguably Newcastle's best run. So I think a natural replacement for that, Elliot Anderson, Joe Linton, that left side could be effective for Newcastle against Aston Villa this weekend. Then the rest, Miguel Almiron on the right wing, effective player. He's been good in pre-season as well. He's got a few goals, 11 goals last season. Okay, been a bit cold since the World Cup break, but has an eye for goal, and hopefully he can continue that. And leading the line, again, another interesting choice. Do you go Callum Wilson, 18 goals last season, or do you go Alexander Isak? But I've gone with Isak. I think he's shown his quality in pre-season, as has Callum Wilson. But Isak, for me, in that team with Joe Linton and Miguel Almiron on either side of him, he leads the line for me. So that's the team I'd go with. I'm sure everyone will have their teams, including, next up, Jordan Cronin.
So my start 11 is a little bit different to Dom's. So I'm going to start with Nick Pope in goal. Obviously a banker for the #1 spot. Back 4 picks itself if fit. So I will go with Kieran Trippier, right back. Fabian Schär, say if fit, centre back, currently nursing a hamstring injury. Touch and go for the weekend. So if he is fit, he plays. But if not, I would opt for Jamal Lascelles. Jamal Lascelles, say fairly unpopular with some sections of the Newcastle United fan base, but from my point of view, a player that has really let Eddie Howe down during his time at the club, a real leader behind the scenes. We all heard in pre-season from Eddie Howe himself just how much he values Jamal Lascelles. So yeah, if Fabian Schär isn't a player, then Lascelles is my pick. Alongside him, obviously it's got to be Sven Botman, and left back as well. I've seen a couple of different opinions on social media as to who should start at left back. A lot of people saying Matt Targett, but I'm going to go with Dan Burn. I think Matt Targett in pre-season has looked rusty. I think hasn't looked great at all, to be honest. Really struggled, particularly in that Fiorentina game. Really struggled. It was sort of solid performance from everyone, but apart from Matt Targett, I thought he was potentially the worst player on pitch. So I think he needs a little bit more training time to get himself back to match fitness. Obviously had a really stop-start season last year. So yeah, my target won't start for me, and it will be Dan Burn. Solid performances last season, okay, is not everyone's cup of tea at left back because he's quite limited in terms of going forward, but his leadership, his performances last season makes it an automatic pick for me. I'm surprised Newcastle haven't signed a left back this summer because I do think that is a position that they need to strengthen, but as long as they don't strengthen that position, Dan Burn will be the left back starter for me. Centre midfield really picks itself. Bruno Guimaraes in the holding role. The right side of the midfield three will be Sean Longstaff. Now, again, I've put my team out on Newcastle World. A few people have disagreed with Sean Longstaff because he hasn't played as many minutes as he would have liked in pre-season because of that injury that he had in America. But I think if you look back to the game down at Villa Park in April it was, sorry, we've seen how much Newcastle missed Sean Longstaff's energy against that Aston Villa midfield. So Sean Longstaff is quite a naturally fit player, so I don't think he'll have any qualms over. I don't think Eddie Howe will have any qualms over starting Sean Longstaff. So he's my right side midfielder. We've got on the left side, we've got Joe Linton. Again, looks sharp in pre-season. The games that he's played was excellent at the weekend against Villarreal. Scored a great goal. Sort of epitomised everything about this Newcastle United team: grit, determination, and always adds a little bit of Brazilian class as well. So Joe Linton starts with me. On the right hand side, Miguel Almiron last season started really strong in terms of his goals. Hopefully more of the same. Again, looked sharp in pre-season. Central striker Alexander Isak. A really tough decision between Isak and Callum Wilson, but I think we've seen a sort of working formula last season where Alexander Isak started as a central striker, perhaps played sort of 60 to 70 minutes, and then Callum Wilson came on the latter stages and actually produced his best goal scoring run from being as a substitute. So Callum Wilson starts on the bench, Alexander Isak as a striker, and then as the left-sided the left winger, Harvey Barnes for me. Anthony Gordon, it's harsh on Anthony Gordon because he had a really good summer at England. England under-21s won the Euros. Looked really energetic, sharp in pre-season. But I think Harvey Barnes, after that Villarreal game, 2 goals, showed he's very clinical. Whereas on the other hand, in that 24 hours previously, when Anthony Gordon played against Fiorentina, he could have scored a hat-trick that day and didn't. So I think for Harvey Barnes, showed a lot more clinical edge, and for me, starts.
Pre-season's over, lots of impressive performances from lots of the young lads, particularly in the squad. I think it'll be a hard push to get any of them in the team, but I'm going to try my best today after the 2 lads picking their team. So I think when you think about the back 5, the goalkeeper plus the 4 almost picks itself. Dan Burn, Kieran Trippier, 2 centre-halves. Fabian Schär doesn't look to be fit. If he is fit, he starts. If not, it's Jamal Lascelles and of course Sven Botman. Midfield, I heard Dom say it before, do you pay 50 odd million quid for a midfielder and not play him? He did that with Bruno last January, and I think he'll do it again with Sandro Tonali. So I think we're probably more likely to see Joe Linton for definite, more likely. He's definite playing, he's an incredible footballer and only getting better and better every time he plays. Bruno, the main man, has to play whether he's half fit or not. And there's the other one. I mean, Sean Longstaff hasn't played much in pre-season, but is back fit now. For me, I'm going to squeeze Elliot Anderson in there, so I'm probably going to shift Joe Linton out to the right of the 3, interchange him with Bruno, he's good pal, and then I'm going to put Elliot Anderson because I think there could be a good link up there with somebody else I'm putting in on the left. Anthony Gordon, very unlucky not to get in because he's had an incredible time, but I'm going to put Harvey Barnes in there. Harvey Barnes' goals and assists, he showed that in the one pre-season game, full game that he's had at the weekend. And I'll be starting with Alexander Isak and Miguel Almiron. I could have made a case to put Anthony Gordon in on the right hand side. Going into the summer, that's kind of what I thought Eddie Howe might go for, but indications he's played him every game on the left hand side, so it makes you think he's probably not going to shift from Almiron. Like I said, a little bit of a treat at the end there, just where we think Newcastle United finish. I'll come to you first, Dom.
I'm going to go 6th. I would have said 7th. Spurs potentially could sneak in if they keep hold of Harry Kane, but I'll be confident and go 6th, even though it's 2 places dropped on last season. I just think the likes of Liverpool, Chelsea will be more competitive than what they were last season. I think Arsenal, Man U will be up there, and Man City obviously will probably win the league again. So I think 6th place would represent a successful season for Newcastle. They're staying in Europe, okay, probably settling for Europa League, but I think if you're considering the playing in the Champions League, finished 4th last season, other teams to come back into it, I think 6th place is a conservatively optimistic prediction going into the new season.
Well, you've went conservative, so I'm going to jump in next because Jordan likes a good chatter and I don't want to wait any longer. So I'm going to put Newcastle United. I think they'll finish one better than last season. They're going to finish 3rd. I've got full faith in Eddie Howe and his system and the way they play. I've seen enough in pre-season to think that they're a much better team than what they were last season. Tough start. As long as they ride through that one, I think they'll be all right. The rest of the league, Wolves look like a disaster to me. Replacing the manager 2 days before the start of the season, I think they're nailed on to being the bottom 3. I can't really see how 2 of the 3 who came up will get out with there either. Sheffield United look like a championship side. They look like a halfway up championship side, never mind a Premier League one. Who else came up? Luton. Get them out. They're gone. I cannot see them stopping up. Look, they'll probably cause a few people a couple of problems at home, but they can be hard to work out. Watch them in both the legs against Sunderland. Didn't watch a lot of championship football, but see them in those playoffs and thought they were dreadful. So I can't really see them doing much this year. Jordan?
Yeah, back to Newcastle United rather than Sheffield United and Luton Town battering. I'm going to go with 6 as well for all the reasons that Dom mentioned, and also the fact that Newcastle do have to balance 4 competitions this season. Obviously the Champions League, Carabao Cup, FA Cup. I think it's going to be a real stretch for the squad that they currently have. I think strength and depth, although they're building, I don't think they quite have it to compete on forefront. So I think that European nights will have an impact on Newcastle's season. But I still back them to finish the season strong. I do think they'll get a 6th place finish, which for me would be a very good season. I would like top 4, but I think it might just be a little bit of a stretch on this occasion.
Oh, well, lads, Eddie's the man. No, we'll obviously we'll be at the game, covering for Newcastle World Shields Gazette the weekend. Keep an eye out for all the content the lads do from Eddie Howe's press conference at some point today. This will go out on Friday, so at some point today, keep an eye out for that. And then, of course, as I always put on here, give it a good share, get in the comments section, like it, and subscribe.